Alright, 3, 3, 2, 1, play. Hello, Machinima Respawn, subscribers, friends, family, maybe, I don't know who all is watching this video. Today I'm bringing you another Madness commentary, but this time I'm not out of my mind, or not at the particular moment. I'm in pretty good control of myself, and this is an ACOG Madness video. You're going to see an Enfield up first with its very interesting ACOG sight, which this is the first time I've ever used it, and I found out it's actually not quite bad, and then an ACOG WA2000 with extended mags later on. Just a quick update on my projects. There's another in-depth coming out soon. If It Were Realistic is being reworked at the moment, some of the episodes. I have another game set, recorded, but not edited for the cinematic commentary. It's a very, very epic game of domination. But like I said, I have not set to editing it, or I have not even sent the files to Andre over at High Def GFX yet, because I've got like 2 gigabytes of files and they take a long time to upload. But yeah, you should definitely check out the ACOG side on this gun. I actually found it one of the most approachable and easier ACOGs to work with. I don't know why. It worked great this first time, and in the next game you're going to see me shred with the WA2000. But on to more pertinent topics, or more personal topics. This is a madness video, so I get to explain my madness a little bit. I had a few people in the other video accuse me of being an attention whore or crying for help or something like that. That's not really what I'm doing, a little bit beyond help, but I do this for your guys' entertainment because you do all seem to quite like the madness videos a little bit, although this one's going to be a little bit different. I do have an interesting story to tell, and it's about dreams. Let me preface this story by saying that all events taking place were very well before the movie Inception came out, though they do bear a lot of similarities. I imagine that Christopher Nolan may quite well have a similar problem as myself, but let me tell you the story of how I met, or not how I met, but how I came to realize a person, thing, being that has had quite a bit of influence on my life, called the Shadow, or I might say Mr. Shadow. I'm not sure. That sounds a little bit cooler. You can do some creative Googling if you want to find out more specifically what it is, but I didn't know at the time. But I'm distracting. Let's cut to the story in question. The year is 2000 and what is it? Actually, I believe it's early 2007, very early, somewhere in the spring. And I am visiting my girlfriend, not quite fiance yet, at her dormitory. It's an all-girls college, but they're kind of loose about the rules. And we'd been up pretty late the night before, so we decided to just take a quick nap before getting up and doing whatever it is that we were going to be doing that day. But whatever was about to happen to me was definitely the most memorable part. And we just lay down in the bed, took a quick nap. I'm not suggesting anything sexual here, like it's 2 in the afternoon, we're just tired, so we just went to bed. And everything was going fine. I went to sleep, and this is where things start getting a little bit crazy. I woke up in the bed, and I looked around, and everything was just kind of weird. The room was kind of half empty of furniture. I didn't really know where the furniture went, but half of it was gone, and I didn't understand why. So my fiance noticed me shifting around. Not fiance, girlfriend. I have to keep this time sensitive here. Girlfriend noticed me shifting around, and she woke up and asked me what was wrong. I told her, hey, you know, the furniture's gone. What do you mean? What do you mean the furniture's gone? I tell her, well, you know, there used to be a whole nother room over here. She's like, it was always that way. I'm like, my ass, it was always that way. There used to be stuff over here. She's like, relax, relax, you need to go to sleep. And I was like, no, I don't want to go to sleep. Something weird has happened. She's like, no, you need to go to sleep right now. She's getting more aggressive, and I don't like that. So I tell you, you know, you can't tell me what to do. I'm not going to sleep right now. Tell me, you know, what the fuck happened to this furniture. And she starts screaming at me, like, you get in that goddamn bed right now. And I know something's very wrong. When I try to get up to move away, she grabs me by my shirt and tries to pull me back down. Something's really wrong here. I start pushing her off me, and she totally flips out and starts punching me in the face and screaming at me, telling me to get back in the bed right now, and all this other thing. So I actually had to hit her to get away. It's not something I would say that I'm proud of, but that's what I did, or at least in my dream. And the dormitories are set up in a way so that the rooms were connected, or at least the hallways were there, so you had suites. And I just remember getting up and booking it to the other suite, and this is where things get stranger. I open the door to the suite, I look to the other side, and I step across, and I set one foot into the suite, and I mean just 1 inch, and everything warps, it blurs, all the colors blend together, kind of like the Millennium Falcon when it hits hyperdrive and all the stars fly at you except with colors and more dimensions, and it just kind of disorients me for just a quarter second, and I realize I've stepped back into the same room I just left, but now my girlfriend and her bed is gone, all her furniture, but the furniture back on the other side is still there, and I'm still very confused at the moment. I don't know what's going on, and her roommate's over there. Her roommate, and I'm just kind of freezing, and she's like, Brad, you were having a bad dream, you need to get back in the bed, you need to go take a nap. I'm like, no, this ain't a bad dream. And she's like, yeah, you were freaking out, just don't worry about it, get back in the bed. And I'm like, bitch, I don't know you, you can't tell me what to do. And well, that's what I was thinking, it's not what I said. It's like, no, I'm leaving. And she gets really crazy. You're not leaving. You're getting in the bed right now. You're going to get put back to sleep. And like, nuh-uh. And I try to run away, and this crazy woman jumps on my back and starts trying to drag me down to the bed by my hair, so I have to elbow her in the face and throw her on the ground really hard and brutal like. I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with me? I don't hit women. I don't believe in hitting women, but these fucking crazy people are attacking me. I'm running, and pretty much dash out into the hallway, and I just kind of like throw myself out into the hallway, and the exact same things happen with the colors blending and the disorientation, and I've jumped into the hallway, but it's no longer the hallway, it just turned into the other side of the suite where I wanted to go originally, and one of her suite mates is over there sitting in the bed, and she's just looking at me kind of funny. It's like, you have a bad dream? Everything's just starting getting crazy, and I'm like, no, I didn't have a bad dream. I'm just trying to, go outside. I'm trying to keep my composure here, like I haven't completely lost my mind yet. And she's like, no, you were panicking. You look bad. You need to go to bed. And I'm like, you can't tell me to go to bed. I know what happens next. And it's like the voice changes, like, oh yeah. And she jumps me, really violently jumps me, punches me in the face, kicks me in the balls, pulling the hair, and I cannot get this other crazy fucking woman off me. I do not know what's going on. I just remember grabbing the back of the hair and pulling back and smashing her face into the bedpost as hard as I possibly could, and hearing the bone and the teeth crunch and grind, and seeing the nose contort in a way that noses should never contort, and somehow getting blood on a hand that was only touching the back of the head. Dear God, it was such a mess. And by the way, you're going to get to see me tear up with the ACOG 2000 here, or WA2000 with an ACOG sight. It goes really well in this particular game. The story is probably going to take a little bit longer than I had in mind, so I might mix up with some Halo Reach footage or some other footage if I run out of time. And back to the room, so it's just a bloody mess, and I've damn well killed this girl. She's just gurgling, spitting up blood at this point. I still don't even know that I'm dreaming, that this is a dream. It's all real to me. I think I've just killed somebody, and I'm panicking, and I have no fucking clue what to do. So the only thing I can think to do is open the door to their room, to the hallway, and just run out, just book it as fast as I can possibly move. And as soon as I set foot into the hallway, I step somewhere else. I step into the dorm of a friend of mine at a different college, male friend this time. Two of these particular friends, one of them, let's say, is skinny and blonde. The other one, let's say, is heavy set and brown. Blonde on top bunk, brown on bottom bunk. I step into their room, and it's all weird because I was just 30, 40 miles away at a different college, and now I'm somehow in their room. But I have an instinct, I have a feeling that I know what's about to happen next, and as soon as I turn around, the skinny blonde jumps off the top of the balcony of the bunk bed onto me, my back, and starts trying to choke me, screaming at me, go to sleep, go back to the bed, you don't belong here, and all this sort of stuff. It's just crazy stuff. No, it wasn't you don't belong here, it's you have to stay here forever, you have to go to bed, you have to get back in there. And I'm like, fuck every last bit of this. Ooh, that was a beautiful headshot right there. And I can't get away from this guy. He's just gotten me on my back, so the only thing I can think to do is run backwards into the wall over and over and over again, pound and pound and pound, and the walls are just hard concrete. They're just cinder blocks stacked on top of cinder blocks, and it doesn't seem to work. So I'm starting to lose my vision and choke out and blurry and start getting sleepy because I'm running out of breath, and in the last act of desperation, I fling my body across the room and on top of a very large high-definition television set they had at a time, completely breaking it and cracking it. Watch me shoot this guy in the back, sending glass shards all into his back. And I remember hearing a scream, and then I get a gasp of air, and a little bit of my blood flows back to my brain, and everything's doing fine. And I just wrestle away from him and punch him on the way down and just dart out of the room like head first, Superman dive. And again, yet again, I was just getting so predictable. It all blurs and goes crazy, and I just Superman dive into a different room. This time we're diving into the room of a friend of mine back at the all-girls college. This friend, let's describe her as almost handicapped, technically handicapped. She has a drop foot of unknown reason. She can walk, but it's really slow and difficult. And she's sitting on her bed, and at this point I know that I'm about to get attacked and that something bad is about to happen, but perhaps since this particular person is handicapped, everything will be fine. And it seems to be going so. The person's sitting on the bed, and I just stand there staring. Her face is down, long hair over the face, kind of like in The Ring, and I just try not to move, and I just hear in a voice that's absolutely not hers. It's like, "I know you're there," and I'm like, "Oh shit!" And the only thing I can think to say is that I just say I'm not going to sleep, and the girl says back, "Yes, you are." Sorry, I can't do the voice right now. I'm a little bit hoarse. It's like, "You are going to sleep. You're going to stay here with me forever." And I'm like, no, I'm getting out of here. And she's like, "You don't understand. There is no such thing as here." And all this, so much stuff. I can't remember. I wish I could remember the exact words, but I have to do this on the fly in this commentary as I'm shooting people. And I'm trying to think of all the exact words, but it was something like, "You're too weak to wake up. I'll put you back down." And I'm like, no, and I just remember saying, "Fuck you," about as loud as I possibly could. And at this point, the handicapped girl, or somewhat the drop foot, it might as well have been fucking Superman legs or Spring-Heeled Jack, if you know who that was. It just did the crazy exorcist lunge across the room right into my face. And I remember seeing these snarling, horrible, terrible teeth and eyes from hell just flying at me in all this rage. And much to my credit and my reaction time, I remember reaching out and grabbing her shirt around the breast area, not fondling the breast, but just hoping to God to get something to hold on to, kind of a reaction from when I played football back in the day, and slinging that arm and then grabbing somewhere around the pant or the leg region, and throwing as hard as I possibly could, and that body flying in the air under its own momentum and my other added momentum, and the head hitting the wall and bending backwards, and I could see the skin on the scalp peel back and start to bleed in slow motion. I could hear the spine crunching under the skin, and then watching the body fall lifeless on the floor, and I'm fucking panicking because I've killed 2 people in a world that I don't understand, and I don't even know if I'm tripping on acid or what the fuck is going on. So the only thing I can think to do again is to run, and I run out into the hallway again. This time I end up somewhere different, somewhere that's not a bedroom, it's not a place where people sleep, it's a hallway, it's a school hallway in my old high school, and at the end of this hallway is the roommate of the skinny person that jumped me on the back. We'll call him Brown for now, or you know what, I'll go ahead and call him Shadow, or Mr. Shadow, because this was no longer a friend of mine. This was a beastly, gargantuan, bear-like version of this friend, a monster, a behemoth, something that shouldn't or couldn't possibly exist. And just walking slowly down the hallway, dragging his fingers across the lockers like he was fucking Freddy Krueger, but instead of scratching, he was just making little clicking noises. And just saying in a more normal voice, "You're never going to wake up. You're never getting out of here, and I control everything. You're going to be here with me until the end of time, and we have such fun games to play." And the only thing I think is, like, I just remember screaming, it's like, "Let me wake up, you fuck, let me wake up." And he's like, "Let you?" He's like, "I don't have to let you do anything. I want you here, and you're going to stay here, and we're going to, I'm going to make you suffer and bleed and burn until the end of time." He's like, "No." He's like, "No, it's already been decided. You don't have a choice in this." And the only thing I could think to do is just run. There's no fucking way I was going to fight a tank like that, a walking Hulk. So I turned around and ran all the way to the end of the hallway, and I could just hear him laughing in the background, just like a villain on a fucking cartoon show. And echoing down the hallway as I run, and I hit the door, and I already know it's going to take me somewhere else. I don't have a clue where else it's taking me. And it shoots me to the house of a different friend of mine. And in this particular house, I end up in his bedroom. I know it, I recognize it, and I also happen to know this particular friend. He is short, stout, and is a mixed martial artist of sorts. And I already know that I'm going to get attacked, so I'm already prepared this time, fist up. And I hear a footstep from behind me, and I turn, and I swing, and apparently even in dreams, the mixed martial arts carries over. At this point, I've ran out, and I actually have not prepared for my story to run on this long, so I'm probably going to be adding a Halo Warthog thing in here somewhere. I don't know where. I don't even know how long the recording is going to go to. I might have to take a break in a second. Yes, I'm going to have to take a break and come back to this one. Alright, at this point I am back from the slight break, about 30 seconds on my end to swap files over. I don't know what will be the gameplay you're watching. It should be a Halo Warthog, or I might be editing in some more Call of Duty things, but that's all irrelevant at this point. I now am in Dreamland, although I don't know I'm dreaming. I think I've just hit some really heavy shrooms or something, and just for reference, I don't do drugs ever completely clean. Never in my life have I done drugs, but at this point I'm absolutely beginning to doubt my own sanity. And I hear the footsteps behind me, and I know he's charging, and I know he's coming, and I spin and I swing, and the martial arts carry over in real life. I remember just him grabbing my arm and swinging me around just a tad and returning a punch right to the bottom of my jaw. It hurt worse than I've probably ever been hit in my entire fucking life, and it was a miracle that I still had teeth in my head. I remember with my free arm trying to swing back, but I just got punched in the stomach over and over and over, and in the last act of desperation, the only thing I could think to do is fall to the ground, but instead of like a little bitch curling up in the fetal position, I grabbed his legs, or the leg that wasn't kicking me as hard as it possibly could, and I just rolled like an alligator and rolled over this martial artist friends of mine, and apparently and I thought I had him on the ground. My primitive strategy was to flip him over, and perhaps on the ground things will be equal, but I was quite wrong, and even on the ground I just remember getting punched left and right, and I couldn't even see what I was doing, but out of instinct again I remember lifting my knee up just in time to smash him right in the balls, and the punches stopped, and I heard "Argh!" So I just kneed again and again and again, and the punches completely stopped, and I started punching back. And I just started punching, and I managed to, between the kicking to the balls and the punching to the face, to roll off this particular friend of mine. He was perhaps less damaged than the others that I've killed tonight, but he will only not be able to bear children. And I dashed toward the hallway door, and I remember diving into the hallway, trying to get away from him before he could grab me and pull me back in. And this time when I dashed, the colors, they didn't blend. I actually made it to the hallway like a dolphin dive in Call of Duty. I landed flat on the ground with a little pop. And this time everything went black as soon as I hit the ground. Just all the lights went, but the ground didn't stay hit. I hit it for just a second, and then I heard a, and the ground started hinging, and it unhinged, and I fell out of the attic at my grandparents' house, which is about 8 feet off the ground, and they don't have carpet. They have this old tile floor that they're really proud of because it's so easy to clean. And I just remember rolling out and landing at a really odd angle on my shoulder and pinching my arm, something fierce, just absolutely horrible pain for a few seconds, and then a numbness that I knew which would be followed by weakness, which I couldn't afford at this moment. Out into the hallway and looking up, and then I looked across the room and I could see my grandparents eating, and as soon as, not as soon, just a few seconds after looking at them, I remember hearing the forks hit the plate, and both of them standing up simultaneously and turning around and looking at me with these blank faces and starting to shuffle my way like monsters from hell, and I knew that I was about to have to fight my own grandparents, which I couldn't even stomach. So I dashed into the bathroom into the hallway, hoping that it would teleport me again. I'm starting to play by the rules of the dream now. I need a little break. It's getting tense in here, getting a little sweaty, and the doggy is here. At least he's friendly. And this time, I don't even know how it happened, but it was like I was magically teleported to the very center of the social area in my dormitory, but it was completely empty, and it was dark outside. Everything outside was pitch black and empty. And sitting at a table not too far away was Mr. Shadow in the form of Brown, gigantic, horrible Brown that looked awful, rising slowly, dramatically, looking at me. I remember him rising to his full height, and even at across the room it still felt like he was looking down at me like a gargoyle, a behemoth. And the only thing I could tell him is that I'm not going back to sleep. I'm not asleep. You can't put me back in that bed. And the only thing and he's like, "Oh yeah," and darts across the room super fast, like a fucking superhero, like Superman dashing across the room, and you see him on TV, and punches me in the stomach hard enough to lift me off the ground and to slam my pathetic, frail body against the wall. Not a wall, it was actually a column. They had these big wooden columns that supported the second floor, and then grabbing me by the shirt that I was wearing and slinging me back down into the coffee table, and my body hitting the coffee table and not even breaking it like you would see on the Watchmen or something, but just plowing into it and knocking it over and cutting me all to hell. He tells me that I already am asleep, and I'm like, no, you're fucking crazy, I'm awake right now. He's like, oh really, how do you know? And I begin to realize that I don't know, and that I might actually be asleep. And as this epiphany sets in, he starts laughing, and he says, this is all just a game, but I'm taking you back under, like, a whole nother layer under into the sleep, and that's not a place that I intend on going. You just tell me that you can't take me under, you can't make me. This is, what are you going to do, stop me? And for some reason I get a lot more courage than I should have. And I spy behind him the door, the exit to the building. Even though it's pitch black, it's better than being in there with him, with the shadow. And I tell him that I will, and just really confidently, with my bitter, bruised, and broken body that shouldn't have even been able to run, I muster the strength to charge straight at this gargantuan thing, and he charges straight at me, and it looks like, well, imagine, as you would see on TV, two large men charging at each other, the same stance, except one considerably larger than the other. But the point was never for me to attack, it was simply to give a feint, and then roll past him, and then dart out the door before he could catch me. And right as the point where I'm getting ready to feint my attack, I fake my roll, and he counters perfectly, catches me in the air again, and grabs me and holds me feet off the ground, choking, looking directly into my eyes, and laughing again. Just laughing, saying, you don't even know how I was able to do that, and I was choking and gurgling. And I just remember just choking out, just, how did you know? In between, he had to let up to even let me speak, and just laughing even more. He's like, you don't understand, I know everything that you know before you know it. I was like, and then it was very perfectly clear to me that this thing that I was fighting, this scenario, was all a construct of my mind. It was all inside my head, something else, something foreign trying to trap me for some reason. And then the full epiphany that I was completely inside of a dream and that nothing was actually real finally set in. It was like a ton of bricks come crashing down, but it's coming when I'm choking, when I can't maintain my consciousness. And at this, the Shadow, Mr. Shadow, becomes very enraged and realizes that he has undone himself, or maybe it was done on purpose, but you'll hear more about that later. And I remember being dragged over to the reception desk and being picked up and slammed into it, just head and neck first, and I felt something crack that absolutely shouldn't crack, and my body was going limp and I couldn't breathe. And I were picking up and slamming again and again and again, and the first 2 or 3 or 4 hurt, but the rest were so numb and so damaged I couldn't, and it was just another jar, just another shake. And I remember in my head I was panicking, screaming, thinking, wake up, wake up, wake up, you gotta wake up, you gotta wake up, I wanna wake up, I wanna wake up, I wanna wake up, I don't wanna be here, I wanna wake up, screaming as loud as I possibly could, just at the absolute top of my voice, I wanna wake up! But of course my mouth wasn't moving, I believe it was paralyzed. And out of the corner of a lazy eye I remember seeing the blackness outside the windows fade away, and the lights start pouring back in very, very slowly, and light rays very dramatically inching their way across the floor toward my body as I was being pounded and screaming, I want to wake up, I want to wake up. And I remember the light rays hitting the both of us. And then the next thing I can remember is that I wake up in the bed where I went to take a nap with my fiancée, making a very guttural noise like just attempting to scream, but I couldn't because my body was in paralysis mode from sleep. And I immediately wake up after the screaming. I think that the sound of my own screaming was what woke me up. I just jump out of bed, just panic, and he like covers up and just looking around, arms up. And my fiancée rolls over and looks at me, and she looks a little confused. And I'm scared and I'm not moving. And she reaches out to me, and I step back, just jump back out of reaction because the last couple of people that I woke up in a bed with tried to kill me. And she says, oh, you had a bad dream. You need to go back to sleep. Doesn't this sound like a familiar story, huh? And I'm like, no, I'm not going back to sleep. She's like, you need to calm down. You need to go back to sleep. And she reaches for me again, and I jump back. And she very slowly reaches over and puts her hand on me, and she tells me that you need to go to bed. You need to rest. And at this point, my brain was panicking, and the only thing that I could think to do was to punch her in the face as hard as I possibly could and run, but for some reason I didn't. For some reason the furniture was there, the world felt more real, it felt more right. Some little tiny inkling in me told me to, in fight or flight, it told me flight instead of fight, so I decided to pass on the opportunity to punch. And I remember just darting out of bed and running down the hall. I step out the door. I don't teleport. I run down the hall like crazy, all the way out to the front of the dorm into the parking lot, and there on my knees and my bare feet and my disheveled self with no belongings, leaning back, looking up into the sun, thanking God that I'm back into the real world. And the scary thing about this is that I think that it was all a ruse to trick me into punching my fiance as soon as I woke up, or my girlfriend. I don't believe there was any other point to it other than that, just to fuck with me in several layers and then have it bleed through to reality. And that's what tends to happen when I fall asleep and why I say strange things. And this was a very personal and unusually long dual commentary. I may not do too many more of these. I don't know how it's going to be received, but I hope those of you that had the patience to listen to the whole story enjoyed it. Drift0r out, and I'm gonna get some sleep. Or maybe not.